Hello, everybody. Welcome to another fantastic episode of the Live Reality Games Podcast, talking about Scotty Survivor Season 2 Lost in Time, episode number 9. I am Naomi. I'm here with my amazing co host, Lee, to talk all about the calamity, the post Puppet Master world. Lee, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. I am very warm. It's summertime and I do not do well in heat.
We
think
just spent
that's
a
like
whole 20 minutes complaining about how Ireland's
yeah.
freezing. So
I don't know what's warm to you, Lee. Like
Anything above 20 degrees?
that's Celsius.
all right,
Yeah,
everyone get out your conversion calculators. We'll figure
I
this
think
one
that's
out.
like I want to say 70 in your guys' people.
It's right now it's 56 degrees in Dublin, so I think it's not very hot.
Oh my god,
I'm
you
not
would
the best
die.
with heat.
I can't. You're gonna die.
Yeah.
Please go to Virginia, Lee. You're gonna melt. I can't
Oh,
wait.
I'm expecting myself the second I get off the airport just to be like,
Yeah.
Good luck.
Arms up, sweat out. Well, we are joined by one of the incredible minds behind Scotty Survivor. It's Shane. Once again, Shane, how are you? How's it going?
Doing well, the season continues to be crazy and it's a lot of fun to put out, so happy to be here.
Are you sure
Deal?
about that? Seeing as how much of an emotional turmoil this week's episode seemed to put you through.
Yeah. Well, it's back and running, so that's what's important.
We're back to the original three that started reviewing Scotty Survivor.
Aaron and Govan are very missed. Don't get it twisted.
True.
We would like them to be here. But we are talking all about episode 9, the dark round of Scotty Survivor. Let's start off right at the gate. Where did this concept come from, and why did you choose to execute it at this vote in this episode? What was all the thinking behind it, Shane?
That's a great question. I have to think about it a little bit because it's been so long since we had this initial planning meeting, but we wanted something to do with time or like hours of the day, and the only thing that we could think about was like light and dark, which is like kind of where the next week's twist came from. Like it's like almost like a light round in a way, like the antithesis of that almost, but not really. And so we wanted something to be like completely in the post merge because we didn't really have any. Like we had like one twist pre merge, but we didn't really have anything that was like. We didn't really have anything to do with time, so we were like, all right, we'll just throw something that will definitely shake up the post merge dynamics, because if we learned anything from our first season, we knew that the merge dynamics had to be ones that we hoped would change constantly. And so we figured if that is not the case and they are not changing, the dark round will probably create some level of chaos where people feel like they can be messy. Now, we did not anticipate it to be as messy as it was executed, but it's still, and how could we have, because we didn't know that there was going to be a puppet master or a smiling assassin or whatnot. Like these casts love to give themselves titles. Yeah,
Mostly undeserved.
So yeah, that's like kind of where that came from. Why now? We wanted to give it a couple rounds into merge, because we felt like, again, if we wanted to see how the merge dynamics played out, give it a couple rounds, and then throw a twist at them, and then follow it up with touchy subjects, because who doesn't love touchy subjects after a dramatic round? You know what I mean? So it was very carefully planned out of when we were going to do this, just because if we had done this at the beginning of merge, I don't think that it would have had the exact same effect.
I think that's a really good point. Lee, how did you feel about this twist?
I was very excited because the fun of not knowing things is just great to watch. One of my favorite like little twists that I recently discovered was in like the first season of Syracuse, where the very first merge immunity, they didn't know who won it until right before the votes were read. So I thought that was like very interesting. Like, oh, it would be very interesting to see how these people go at it without like knowing who wins the immunity, because everyone's just like, we're going to write off that person, but not
Yeah.
knowing who it is in theory is usually great. This episode everybody pretty much knew who won immunity because everybody else was terrible at the challenge bar, Vivian and Valen. And I mean, not knowing the votes, it's the best way for people to be like, okay, I'm gonna like divert myself from my usual group and take out somebody that is in my group but I don't trust, as we saw with Xavier and Ethan and pretty much everyone, and pretty much get away with it.
Yeah.
Or will they?
I think that the dark ground. So the dark ground reminds me a lot. Not to bring up this cursed word, but it reminds me a lot of sequester, where you don't know the vote count. What's that, Lee?
Why is sequester cursed?
Just kind of a mess, I would say, in the LRG landscape at this point. Well, I'll tell you more off there. But the idea of like not really knowing the vote counts and not knowing some of the more core elements to how you're going to vote inherently produces more chaotic choice making. So, for example, like the whole discussion that we'll get into of like Vivian thinking maybe I should give my immunity to Abby so that everyone who votes for Abby, it doesn't count, and all of these choices where in the end you can walk away from that vote, Ethan's gone, you don't know what the vote count was, and go, I didn't vote for Ethan. And maybe you darn did. I'm sure that's what Henry's going to do. You know, I didn't vote for Ethan. I don't have any idea why my alliance went home. And it really opens up the opportunity to make a move that will down the line be something you can display at Final Tribal Council, I feel like. If you get there, you know, hey, in the dark round, I did this with these people and we sent Ethan home. Like, there you go. I really, really enjoyed this. I thought, like, for you and Govin, this is a genius, like, concept and execution, and it produced a really fantastic episode. If this episode would have been lost to time, I would have been very sad.
It wouldn't have. I mean, I would have if it had like malfunctioned. I would have gone back. I knew exactly what I had done already, so I would have just gone back and redone the whole thing. It would have taken some more time. It would have taken me another week, but I would have done it. You know what I mean?
I'm pretty sure we would have waited.
Oh yeah, I would have gone back and done it. I knew exactly where everything was, so I got lucky that I had made a backup copy on my hard drive, and all I needed to do was re-download everything. So lucky for me.
So let's start at the immunity challenge, right? Because this was so fun. Your own version, Scotty Comics. Very creative, very cute. I like everybody sort of observing themselves, because how many people were actually like Big Brother fans on this cast, would you say, Shane?
I don't think anybody.
Oh, that's
as it should be. It's a terrible show.
Well, we did another version of this in season 3 where like the shout out Lindsay from Michigan, who actually illustrated the comics like by hand.
Oh, cool.
And then like like we took this a whole nother step after we realized that like it was like kind of a success. So like this challenge was great. It was so fun. The only part of it that like kind of sucked was like how late at night we did it. So like we and it was like literally like right after Ricky got voted out. Like 20 minutes.
Yeah, everyone's complaining in it. But that's kind of, I love a late night challenge because I think it invokes some of the exhaustion and stress of Survivor without it being like, you know, starve yourself for 3 days. Like it's still like a fun, you know, everyone's a little tired and cranky, and it makes
I think too, the other thing that we learned from like doing this outdoors and we moved to indoors for the next season was like you inherently have an advantage if it's lighter outside. Like Vivian and Valen, who went first, obviously finished it because they had more light. Granted, I will say that the flashlights should have made it possible for people to tell the difference, but they're really like the cameras couldn't capture like to do it justice of like how subtly they were different. Like they were so subtly different. The little like gradients that we changed just to fuck with them, like it was like there were some that like the only thing that was different was like the slight version of a gradient. Like that was it.
Oh, I'd hate that. I do want this challenge to be like, I don't think it will be, but I want it to be like a season tradition where it's like we have this challenge every season because it's legendary
We
in game.
we
Like
didn't put it
how
before because I wasn't on production, but it'll if I have anything to do with it, it'll be back in All Stars.
yay!
We do OTEV on Survivor New York, and that's I think actually a great challenge that translates directly from Big Brother to Survivor very easily, and I love doing OTEV. But this challenge I think translates just as well, and I think that you guys did a great thing of like timing out after 20 minutes because like nobody wants to see them struggle after 20 minutes. And good for Vivian and Valen, like congrats, and really it was seconds between the two of them when you realize I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, I think it was like 5 seconds.
Yeah.
4 seconds.
Something absurd.
Can we talk about everybody's persona?
So
Yes.
some of them we were a little lost on because we could have gone a little bit further, but like we didn't want to completely expose things that like didn't like
Make
was
sense.
already in the open. You know what I mean? Like for example, like we could have gone so much further with Vivian and been like the puppet master behind the puppet master, but like nobody knew that, so we couldn't.
Yeah.
So she's just Miss PhD.
What was your favorite, Lee?
Well, I said this in the Discord. It's like the shadiness of Mr. Invisible for Nikhil. I also want to know the story behind Teenanator 2.0.
Oh yeah, God. So Ethan, if you haven't noticed, Ethan has named himself Tina in the Discord.
Yes, he has.
I don't know what it is with Ethan, but like he had an obsession with both Anna and Tina, like post getting voted out. Like, and I didn't have any footage of this, so I guess I couldn't put it in. But like he always would talk about like how much Tina was robbed or how much Anna was robbed, and like he reacts in like our Discord, our Scotty Survivor Discord, with like 3 people: Dorothy, Anna, and Tina. Like that is it. Like that's who he reacts with.
Well, Dorothy now makes sense since they share the same placement.
He actually applied to
All Stars as Dorothy.
No, he applied to be a host of season 4 with Dorothy's information, and she had no idea.
Oh, yeah.
I swear, Ethan just picks like the most random people to obsess over.
Yeah, so does like Big Brother Twitter, like and Survivor Twitter. That's how it is. You find your queens and you stan them, and it doesn't matter what they do. I will be a Cushy stan for life for no other reason than I think Cushy rules.
We love Cushy.
Yeah, but not. Oh, Cushy. I thought you said Chrissy.
Cushy for All Stars.
Yeah, but Cushy makes sense.
I feel like Dorothy's an icon.
Tina also makes sense. Anna, not so much. Dorothy, I can see it.
I thought Anna gave us a very entertaining episode.
Nothing we haven't seen before.
Well, Lee just doesn't like a mean girl, huh?
No, it's not that I don't like a mean girl. I like an entertaining mean girl.
I think she was entertaining.
No, I think she was just mean for the sake of being mean.
Not that. Not that.
I just didn't.
Wow.
Not impressed. Although I'm someone who, although she probably doesn't care, she probably doesn't know I exist.
I just wanted to pivot us back to the challenge for a second because I really loved like Haley's running and talking out loud. That was one of my favorite moments of the whole challenge.
My only personality trait, I play the cello.
Oh, she was so mad at me for that. She was so mad at me for that.
Oh yeah, how were people's reactions to their persona? Because some were good and some were not.
Nikhil knew it was coming because he even said it himself. Although he was like slightly offended because for whatever reason Nikhil thought he was doing things. Yeah.
Illusion.
Ethan laughed. Abby obviously knew it was coming. Vivian was happy that we didn't expose her. Xavier was mad. Yeah, that was about it.
What about Nadia?
Oh, Nadia laughed. She was just like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" Like,
why was Xavier mad? Is it because like
it was another one of those Haley things where it's like, is this my only personality trait that I play Ultimate Frisbee? And I'm like,
yes.
Yes, I know people who play Ultimate Frisbee. Yes, it is.
I'm surprised you didn't give him something like the Golden Boy, but maybe that would have been like
No,
too
no, you know what?
game
See, the
exposing.
thing is, I didn't want to inflate his ego any more than it needed to be.
See, there you go.
If this was made nowadays, I feel like people would be like Xander 2.0.
Well, enough people call him Xander in the Discord by accident, so
I think I did it once, but I
yeah.
also like keep calling Xavier from Big Brother 23 Xander. So it's a
Oh,
mess.
that one.
Well, because
The
my
other,
little brother goes by Xander, so it's like
oh my
a
god.
mess.
The other thing with Haley is that she just like has so many good lines. Like her line about like Ethan and Abby being her dysfunctional parents killed me.
Haley's giving the confessionals. Like now that
I
Kayla's
love
gone,
Haley.
Well, like the
Haley's
funny
the new confessional queen.
Haley was like really nervous for this season to come out because she was like, oh, I feel like people are gonna think I'm so boring. And I'm like, Haley, you clearly didn't watch the confessionals.
I think like not even boring. Like Haley is the perfect combination of like she's very polite and she's not gonna say anything too disparaging about somebody, but she's also like going to read you to your core. She's going to tell you what she thinks of you in a very polite way. And
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
gonna be like, damn, I should really reevaluate my life so that Haley likes me more. You know what I mean? Like just you gotta change some small things up.
Haley, if you're watching this, you have fans.
Yeah, we love
Haley.
come back for All Stars.
Haley, we're downs.
You're my
Okay.
winner pick in the merge.
So let's talk about some of the ramifications of last episode and what's going on here because Abby and her idol is what I really want to talk about, and the wasted or not wasted idol. How do you feel about Abby's idol play? I couldn't join you guys last week. How are you feeling now, seeing how things play out?
I mean, I still understand why she played it. She thought it was going to be a tie. So, and in the revote, she was most likely to get votes. So I understand. I really don't understand why she thinks it was a waste to use the Verandi idol because why risk somebody else finding the merge idol?
Mm-hmm.
And if she played the merge idol and said it was the merge idol, then people will still know she has the Verandi idol because I'm sure Ethan will probably tell people.
I think her plan was to play the merge idol and tell people that it was the Verandi idol. And so she'd be the only person who knew that the merge idol was back out there.
So she could go find it again. Interesting.
Yeah, I can see that. But if she played it and if I'm pretty
They all look the same, so it like
okay.
Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of like why, but I don't know. I think that this was a decent like assumption. Like she really beat herself up about it, but like considering what the information she had, like it was a fair assumption. Like I would do the same thing if I were her.
Yeah, I think we all would because nobody knew. Well, majority of the people didn't know about Ethan voting for Ricky, except for the Ducks.
But at the same time, like Abby knew that like there was a chance that Ethan was playing his idol, right? And so that knowledge, because like to me, the big fear is that like you can't trust a big majority of your tribe, but you can't trust 6 people essentially, and you know that an idol is going to be played and another idol is going to be played. What are the chances that you Abby, the puppet master, cop a vote, and then either you go home or it's a tie? Like, and I think that she was right to have those fears. And it's tough, but like the paranoia is placed in like a good Survivor player. That is like a definite fear to have when idols are being thrown around and nobody seems to care about like, whether or not it's going to impact you.
I think that she and Vivian should have voted. I mean, clearly not because Henry ended up helping them. But like, if they wanted to keep Ricky, they should have voted for Henry.
Yeah, like split the votes.
Absolutely.
I don't think Ricky was that good for their games, to be honest. So
no, I don't think Ricky was.
No, he was ready to turn on Abby at least. I don't know if he would have turned on Vivian.
I think he would have. He was ready to go to the end with Haley and Valen, which seems to be the running theme.
Yeah. Which I'm kind of surprised Valen was like perfectly fine with Ricky going.
Well, she wasn't. That's what Vivian like said in like in the episode is like Ethan already made Valen like kind of upset once by voting out Ricky, or like understands why, but like she wasn't thrilled about it.
Yeah, that seems to be a common thing with Valen. Like she's okay with people doing terrible things to her, like almost voting her off, voting off her closest allies. Yet she still sticks with them. Somebody should really talk to this girl and explain what Stockholm syndrome is to her. I actually am now kind of concerned. If Alan's ever on this podcast, um, which I don't know if she ever will be.
We shall see.
Here's my I agree with the take. Ricky, good to go home, right? Actually better for everybody's game. Especially considering he had this side alliance with Nikhil, which means that Nikhil has less power, which is great.
Did
But
Nikhil have any power to begin with?
no, but now he has even less power. And
Who knew you can have less than nothing?
I think that Ethan made, obviously, as we know, a huge mistake last episode. Now, I just want to talk about it with you, Lee, for a second, knowing what we know now, knowing that this basically gets Ethan sent home in one way or another. And I guess maybe Shane, I don't know if you have an insight on who should he have targeted if not Ricky? Like, if you're like, does he play the idol? Does he hold on to the idol? Like, what is the thing that Ethan should have done? Why isn't Ethan on this episode? All right, well, I'm sure we'll interview Ethan at some point, but like, what should Ethan have done to not have this happen to him?
I don't think it's what he should have done this episode. I think it's what he should have done last episode. I still think he shouldn't have voted off Ranjan. He should have just got rid of Nikhil and then take Nikhil's spot in that majority 5. And another thing, I think we said this last episode as well, another mistake is that he was the only vote for Ricky. Had another person vote for Ricky, or he just lied and said, I voted Vivian, I don't know who the Ricky vote was, then he could have had some of the targets off his back. It's the fact that he did control the first 2 merge votes back to back. If it was just one, then people would be like, okay, I'll give you a second chance. But as both Haley and Abby said in their voting confessionals, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, you're going home.
I think what Ethan should have done was get Vivian to flush the idol and have all of the 6 vote for Ricky instead. You get the same result, and they might be a little bit mad, but Vivian was going to play the idol regardless, so it doesn't really matter.
I think that's a great point, and I think that even splitting it 3 and 3, right? Like, your goal shouldn't be to have to save Xavier with an idol. Like, that is the worst possible move, because as we know, with like playing an idol for somebody, it can keep your ally in the game, but I think more often than not, it makes your ally say, well, I need to usurp the person that put this on me because I look like I'm weaker than them. And then for you, you have an idol and it's super flashy and it looks like a great game move in front of everybody. And for Xavier, like, at the end of the day, like, Xavier really, and so early, right? Because that was final 10. Final 10, it's only final 9, and then Ethan goes home. You know, it's too much mess too soon. And I love Ethan very dearly, but too mess too soon.
You want to hear a funny idol play story that I've seen?
Obviously.
So, as you know, I watch a lot of MC Survivor, and I know nobody will understand this unless you do. Shout outs to Lee Chris. There was this guy who found the idol day 1, but his tribe was going to the very first tribal. He played the idol on his ally, who flopped up the challenge, and everybody was fine with going home. Now, his ally is kind of a piece of shit, and he's not a good player. So he decided to play the idol on his ally, and then got voted off the next episode, which was the second tribal ever. So I think that just shows, if you have an idol, there's no need to play it right away, especially at the very first tribal council.
Yeah.
I just wanted to throw that out there.
I feel like that reminds me of on one of the first episodes of a season of Survivor South Africa. They like go to rocks, and it's like, what is happening right now? Oh my god, that's a mess.
Oh yeah.
But let's talk for a second about the strategy, not for more than a second, about strategically what's going on. I first want to talk about Vivian, the idea of Vivian giving up immunity, because I think it's really fun the way that not only is Vivian really plotting, but Haley backstabbing Vivian? Question mark?
Haley is
idea. I don't get that. I don't think it was a smart idea. I think Haley was getting some of like the big move itis from Ethan and being like, okay, I gotta have my big move, but like that's not the one you should make, Haley.
Haley
No,
is secretly evil.
I think that maybe that comes from the fact that like here's where I think that brews from is like, okay, Vivian's won immunity, that must mean she's smart and like she's winning competitions, but she might give up that ability to win a like she might give up her win. Do I try and take her out while she's vulnerable? And you have to sit there and go, no, don't do that. Which Haley does, right? She does not vote
I think that
Vivian
Haley
out.
wanted Vivian out because of the whole thing with the Dorit idol and realizing that Vivian is a really big threat. But not, and then she comes to the realization that she needs Vivian and Abby for now. Like, she's like, who am I going to vote with if I don't have them? Because, yeah, I have these side alliances with Valen and Xavier, but they're not voting with me.
Yeah.
This is going to sound controversial, and I don't mean this as an insult, but Haley reminds me of like Mallory 3.0, where she's very like Mallory from Michigan or Ellie from UVA, right? Where it's this very, very nice person who has people in front of them and they are included in a plan and they try and help the plan, but like she's so much beyond them.
Yeah,
and I feel like
more strategic awareness.
Exactly. And so she's like the next evolution of that kind of gameplay where you're very kind, but you're also very observant and you're very focused on the dynamics around you. And I love watching this. This is it. Like I'm not, no offense to Mallory. I'm not a Mallory game fan. And I feel like this is like a better version of that I'm actually enjoying witnessing.
Yeah, Haley, I think she's very like self-aware of her game.
Mm-hmm.
Which is something we're not used to seeing on Survivor. Usually we're used to seeing delusional people that think they're great, and they usually aren't.
You're talking about me?
I mean, I've never seen you play.
I am delusional, though, so.
Yeah, everyone needs a little delusion, but we just always see a lot of Survivor people just being like, I've gone on too many tangents in how Survivor fans are just terrible because they think they know the game, when really they don't. So it's just refreshing to see somebody like self-aware being like, okay, I know these people are threats and it's important to get rid of them, but I need to still work with them because they're the only people that will work with me.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with that.
So,
but it's nice to see that Haley has a little bit of an evil side.
That was great. I love her. So my question to you, Shane, is that Ethan goes home. Who do you think is most responsible for this move? Who do you think could write this on their resume and get the proper citation here?
I think Vivian.
Mm-hmm.
I know it seems like Henry drove the ship, but Vivian wanted Ethan out before Henry said anything. She just didn't think that they could make it happen.
Yeah.
But once somebody's like, I have this idea, let's join me and vote Ethan. Vivian had to convince Abby, who then had to convince Haley to go on board with that. Because Haley was super on board with Nadia and was on board with Ethan, but came to the decision that it had to be Nadia. But Vivian had the power. I think one of the funniest moments of this whole episode was Henry being like, Abby's in no position to choose. Like, of course she's going to vote Ethan. But Abby was the key vote. Vivian was going to vote Ethan. Haley wanted to vote Ethan, but Abby was the one who was holding back. So I think that was really poetic of like Henry thinks he's in control, but really the trio of women are in control here. They made
women.
That is, I think, the reason why I would be really scared of being in a 6-person alliance is because I think it really clouds your judgment. Where you jump away from the 6-person alliance and you say, so I'm actually really hot shit right now because I'm available for like you underlings to join me in my move. But when you're working with people who've been stuck on the bottom together for so many votes, you are basically just joining an alliance to join the bottom of it. Now, I think it's really funny, and I love that for Henry the feminist, but I think that it's like, yeah, you're not like, they've already been hanging out. You're just joining the party.
I don't know if I would classify Henry as a feminist from this, but okay.
I'm just saying because he's working with women now all of a sudden.
But I think the other thing too is like, if you're gonna piss off people in the game, why are you gonna piss off Vivian and Abby of all people? Ethan, like you should know, like that is not something that you like. That is a move you make late game. He turned on them way too early. Way too early.
Yeah. Now, Lee, I think this is my other concern is like, I feel like Ethan had so much information and managed to misuse almost all of it. Specifically, the Abby and Vivian are actually very good friends information. What do you think about like the pieces that Ethan had at his disposal that he didn't really use?
See, I think Ethan just wanted to be friends with everyone, so I don't think he really cared like too much, like because he constantly goes on about how like, oh, I had to flip on you guys to protect you, Abby. Otherwise, you would have been gone home. So I don't know. Ethan's game cannot be explained by any word in the dictionary.
Which I think is true. They would have flipped on her, but he would have known about it, and he could have just tipped her off to play the idol.
Yeah, like
without flipping.
Yeah, just wait for them to be like, okay, now we're gonna flip on Abby, and then he can be like, sure, hey Abby, play your idol. They're flipping on you.
For whatever reason, he thought that he was on the bottom of that whole alliance because they had like after.
So he was added to a group chat late.
So what happened is that after the like merged like weird challenge thing where Tina went home, the 4 people that voted together made a group chat in our Discord, and then they added Ethan and Vivian when we merged, which was really not that far after. It was like maybe 1 or 2 days. But Ethan was like, oh, they had this group chat and they're adding me to it. It's like, oh, I'm on the bottom. But really, when you think about it, Vivian and Abby wanted to work with Ethan way more than they wanted to work with Ranjan and Haley and even Ricky. So he was never on the bottom. They wanted to go to the final 3 with him. So,
that's why they told him his secret.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you look at...
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I think that was a poor excuse. I think that was his excuse of like, you guys added me to a group chat late, and I don't think that's actually why he flipped. I think he flipped because of wanting to join the other side and his relationship with Xavier and Valen, and realizing that Abby was not his real number 1 because she had Vivian.
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say that I think that Ethan did the classic mistake of like over analyzing. Like Ethan is a great analyst of information that's available to him. But it's also like when you really want somebody you like to text you, hey, I'm just thinking about you. You're like, oh my God, they still like me. But like y'all have gone on like 20 dates. Y'all have been dating for 6 months or a year or whatever. They still like you because they have shown it in the past. And I feel like Ethan, like Abby and Vivian went to Ethan and said, we are friends, by the way. Like, we're actually very good friends. And we're telling you this because we want you to know this. Now, that was always mess. But if Ethan really thought about it, he'd be like, why would they tell me if not to work with me? If not to include me in on their plans and have me be a part of their alliance? And that's the problem with, I think, being too analytical. Obviously, it's helpful to a point, but I think that Ethan really, like, went overboard in a way that, like, kind of destroyed his ability to think critically in a very clear way, and instead made him think overly critically about every like simple thing that was happening, like being added to a group chat late, but also being added to a group chat, like, I don't know which one it might be on. If you can't see the history, if you're really worried about it, just go be like, hey Abby, can I see your phone and look at the history of the group chat? I'm feeling a little nervous.
See the history. He could see the history.
Yeah, so there you go. So if there's no fucking history that you can read, girl, stop freaking out about it.
Yeah, just scroll up and be like, oh, Vivian was just added 5 minutes ago.
Well, I think the thing, I understand where Ethan is coming from, of feeling like I'm always going to be on the bottom of Vivian and Abby. But you can use that to take them out later, and then you win.
Yeah, because if you look at that 6, isn't it majority OG Verandi?
Yeah.
There's a 4 with you right there, and then if you know Vivian and Abby are a duo, you know people will easily turn on Abby because they quickly will do it. Nobody will really trust Ricky, and then Vivian won't have any power.
Goofy.
He should have done what Haley did. Take a minute and be like, okay, so it's not smart to do this. I'll stick with these people for now.
Yeah, it's a hard balance of like when to do it. I think he just struck a little too early, and he wasn't directly making a move against them, but in a way it was.
Yeah. What was it that
I think he
how
just
did
was. I think he just chose Team TV, which I can respect. I think it's fun. He definitely made these merge episodes way more fun. Like if
Oh,
Ethan
Team TV?
didn't do
a
any of
million.
these things, like we would have had a really boring merge, to be honest. Um, but definitely a little too soon.
Who's Team
Um,
TV?
like
Like
team TV, like we're making choices for good television.
Oh, I thought it was like, is that the name of the other alliance? Because half of these people are not good TV. I thought it was that situation where it's like, wait, they are calling themselves Team TV, and they have people like Nikhil, Valen, and Xavier on it who are not that entertaining and kind of Nadia at this point. Because I don't know why Nadia is all about the six.
Well, because I think for me, I think that like any basic Survivor player is going to think about a 6-person alliance and say, well, this is good because it's good for all of us. But a 6-person alliance is so hard to control. It's so hard to like have any real grasp on, and I think that it deludes you into thinking that you are like, yeah, look, I'm like a vampire. That's on. Just like it deludes you into thinking that you have more control than you actually do. But it feels like you're in a safety net. It feels like you're in safe numbers, and you're not.
Yeah, one thing I kind of wish really happened that I think would have been so interesting had Abby not voted Ethan and did go with the Nadia plan, watching it be a 3-3 tie between Ethan and Nadia, and just seeing how. I think if that was the case, Ethan would still go home regardless.
I don't think so. I think Nadia would have left.
Really.
Yeah, I think Valen votes Nadia over Ethan.
Yeah, because that's why I think it'll be interesting. It would have been interesting to see where Valen's true loyalty lies, because I'm pretty sure I did a chart about this like last week. Like Valen has a lot of ties. Like she has
Yeah,
her
your
own.
little whiteboard scribbles.
Yeah, I do that instead of doing actual work at work, and I still get paid. Because she has like the group six. She has her OG Zaman, and then she has the Ducks. She has her side alliance with Haley. Like I think she has like the most connections out of everyone. So seeing that, it would have showed where Valen's loyalties lie. I think she did vote Ethan. I mean, did vote Nadia. I think Ethan still would have went home. Trying to do it in my head because I think Henry, Haley, and Vivian would have still voted for Ethan, and even if it Xavier, Nadia, not Nadia, Abby, and Valen, I think Nikhil would have voted to Ethan over Nadia.
Yeah, probably.
So I think Ethan still would have gone home regardless. It just would have been a much closer vote, and very interesting to see Nadia's reaction.
So, Shane, I know you have to head out. I just want to ask really quickly from you, like, what else is there to talk about for you in this episode? Like, what is on your mind that you really want to break down?
I just think that it's interesting that like Henry's on the rise here. Like we haven't heard much from him really a lot. And like I feel like his stock is kind of rising slowly. I just think that the whole episode was really just like almost poetic that they're all trying to turn on each other, and Ethan, who like kind of comes up with another plan, is like kind of blindsided for running the game the whole time and thinking that you can, and like I've done this too, of like thinking you can push around your allies to a certain point where they're just gonna turn on you, and it just happens. Like I think he knew it was coming without knowing it was coming. Like he knew there would be a point where they were gonna turn on him. He just didn't. I don't think he expected it to be. And he I didn't include this as much, but he did, like he knew that there were talks happening because he did went back to his Zoom stalker era and saw Vivian on call with Henry and was like, well, what's that about? But like I don't think he really put it together. Yeah.
Mm,
Makes sense. And I think Ethan's a really good sport about everything. Like,
Yeah.
he has fun going on out the door.
Oh, I think he was bitter, but we'll see.
yeah,
Oh,
he's 100% voting for Valen to win. It doesn't matter who's sitting next to her. Valen's getting Ethan's vote.
I've told Ethan this before. I definitely thought he was bitter. But yeah. And he knows that, but
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's interesting. I think that there can be, it's funny, I think there can be both. I think people can be good sports about like being eliminated and then also be mad at all of the people who caused it to happen, if that makes sense. Like they can both accept that this is like, you know, I overplayed my hand, and then also be like, but you shouldn't have voted me out. Screw you guys. I
I
feel like
think
I
we're
see a
gonna
lot of those
see
today.
a real moral dilemma from Abby being like, "What the fuck did I just do?
Yeah.
Like, why did I just do that?" Abby,
Um,
it's so fascinating to watch Abby play because she is a villain if you think about it. Like she has played this game like a villain. Like she was the puppet master, she did all these things, but none of her actions seem villainous. Like she has this like weird moral compass that you don't normally see from like a true survivor villain, if that makes sense. Like she like you see like almost every episode she's like breaking down and like having these like mental breakdowns about the game and like her decisions about it. And like that I find to be an incredibly complex, fascinating character of like I don't think that happens very often.
yeah, I'm super excited. I love Abby, and I love Abby and Vivian. And this vote was so messy and so enjoyable and full of like the cacophony of Survivor. And I think it was a super great episode. So congrats to you guys for another absolute banger.
Thank you. And it'll be fun to have this next one's more of like a live episode because of the whole like it's almost Naomi, it's funny that you mentioned Sequester because
The dating round.
this twist is like date night from Sequester basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. So are we getting like 2 tribals 1 episode?
No, it's just one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's just one. And we're gonna just show like the different, like we had like 7 rounds, so we'll just show like the each of the 7 rounds and what the conversations were happening there. It's the like from when the challenge ends to tribal, it's only about like 15-16 minutes. So
Okay. It's a quick episode.
yeah, probably not because there will probably be like there's still the fallout, which and touchy subjects. So
That should be fun because it went so well last season.
it was not. I will say this: it was not as personal this time. Like this cast, if you haven't, if you couldn't tell already, like this cast, there's not the same level of like
Intensity.
personal jabbing against each other. Like there's
No, much nicer.
Yeah.
they're all so strategic and they're all like even like Vivian and Xavier like who just like went after each other. Like in season 1, if they went after each other, they'd be like, okay, never speaking to you again. But like these people are like
Leo.
these people are like, okay, like that was a good strategic move. Like, okay, we'll just like move on
Because
from
they
that.
understand it's a game.
Yeah, they definitely understood it was a game much more than season 1 for sure.
Yeah.
Cool.
Anyway, I have to hop off, but I will see you all on Tuesday for the episode.
See you whenever.
Sounds good.
All right, bye.
Or Wednesday for those who have to wait.
Oh, you have to go to bed. Gross.
Yeah, because
what else should we talk about? Like, what else happens in this episode that is notable? I mean, is this the first vote of its kind in College Survivor?
in College Survivor vote counts, yes, and even in Survivor actual production, there's never been a 4-2-2-1 vote in like U.S. Survivor or Australian Survivor. There's been one in an MC Survivor, but nobody here knows what that is.
Okay. So like mainland Survivor and College Survivor.
Yeah,
I
it's the
mean,
very first 4-2-2-1.
and I think it's genius. I think it's really genius because you have this like everybody is freaking out, and this is what I love about moments like this is that you use the opportunity for chaos and you harness it and you utilize it to make what happens. So do you have like written down who voted for who? Do you remember off the top of your head? Because I know
Yeah, I do.
we have the 4. We have Vivian, Abby, Henry, and Haley all vote for Ethan.
Ethan and Xavier both voted for Nadia.
Mm-hmm.
Nadia and Valen both voted for Abby. And Nikhil voted for Haley.
Who do you think made the worst voting choice out of the random 5?
I can't really say any of them because Xavier and Ethan were going with a plan to vote for Nadia, which they thought was happening. Valen and Abby and Nikhil all thought they were doing a simple split vote between Abby and Haley. so none of them knew about the Nadia plan or the
Or the
Ethan plan. So I don't really think anyone that didn't vote for Ethan made a bad move.
mm,
I think it would have been a bad move had the votes been known. Like I think if Nadia saw her name written down twice, it definitely would have been something Xavier had to do a lot of explaining about. And I expected. I'm actually more surprised Nadia didn't go home because I really thought everyone was going to turn on her the second everyone found out. It's like, oh, so people won't know what the vote count is like. So I can now turn on Nadia, who I think is on the bottom of the six.
yes, I think Nadia's on the bottom of the six because I also think that Nadia like just has the least social capital within that group. Although now it's a five, right? Because Ethan's gone.
Yeah, but
Um,
Ethan was always like wishy washy, even though
yeah.
he did. So it was like always that main five of Nadia, Valen, Henry, Xavier, Nikhil.
So I would say, from my perceptions, and tell me if I'm wrong, that Nikhil and Xavier are working together. That for a certain extent, Henry and Xavier were working together. Valen was in tight with like Henry and Xavier. Henry with like
Both of them. Yeah, both of them.
yeah.
Both of them are. They were a member of the Ducks Alliance, which now one of their ducks got shot down. So now it's just Henry, Valen, and Xavier. And Henry was pulled into that alliance by Valen and Xavier, so that might stick. Well, if
Mm,
Henry admits he voted for Ethan, I don't know if that would actually stick, but I doubt he'd do that. Can't be that stupid.
yeah. And so I think that like this five is like not destined for greatness, is what I have to say. But no, and this is I think I don't know about you. I really believe in when you have like a group that's getting picked off, there is something that is so important about sticking to it. Now, it's why like Haley thinking about backstabbing Vivian is like actually like Haley, if you think about it for like a minute or two, if you can get out of this vote, you will be able to go like way farther with these people who trust you implicitly. Um, and I think that getting somebody like Ethan out in a round where you didn't have the majority completely solidifies the alliance you're in because you are the only people who understand how Ethan went home. And you know that it was your doing, right? Like I feel like it really makes your alliance feel so strong, even if you're in the minority in this situation.
Yeah, this vote really reminds me of a vote in Survivor Syracuse, in Mind, Body, Soul. Have you seen Syracuse?
I actually have not. I'm a
Okay,
big
it's in the
fan, but I haven't watched a lot of it.
yeah, I won't say too much. I'll just say it's in the third season at the final eight. It's a similar type of vote where it's like a minority three women that that just kept surviving, and then eventually they became a majority four and became the final four.
Yeah,
So
that
I
it's like
something
the
similar
FOA
here.
FOA for like you just gotta keep
Yeah, like that.
going.
We saw how big that was, where it's like the majority alliance kept picking them off one by one themselves off, and then next thing you know, oh, these four people that came into the merge are still here, and they're the final 5/4. Should have been the final four, but close enough. It's just as much as it is boring to see these all like, oh, majority alliance stick together strong, cause, but once that majority eats one member, they're just ready to eat the rest of them. It's like I already done it once, let's do it again. And the next thing you know, oh, I'm in sixth place. That's
Or
not
even
tied to
worse,
anyone. I
you're
just said a
Lathan,
random
you're in
number.
ninth place.
Yeah, or in Ethan's case, yeah, ninth place.
Um, okay, I just want to read some great YouTube comments because I love the YouTube comments.
They're
Uh,
usually fun.
Onion, very funny. Another iconic episode. You guys aren't tired of it. Abby continues to be a legend, and I love how everyone keeps playing hard. Um, Lots of holy hell, says one person. Somebody says, I feel like foreshadowing in this episode is Haley backstabbing Vivian. Uh-oh. That's my nightmare.
Yeah, I'm fully expecting Haley to backstab Vivian, and I think this episode, the next one, or the final 7, I can see her doing it, because this next one I can kind of see not. I feel like I say this every time. I can see Nadia going with how this twist is going to be like, because usually I'm just gonna call it a dating round episode because it's pretty much what it is.
Hmm.
People usually go for an easy target, and I feel like everyone except for like Henry and Valen will easily agree not on voting Nadia. So I can definitely see her going, especially if Xavier is just
Yeah.
being like, "Ooh, I have to go for Nadia," because people are probably telling her that I wrote down her name, even though there's no proof of that.
And I think what's interesting that we've seen kind of like brewing is the Vivian and Xavier reunion, right? Like that was like kind of talked about those two.
Yeah, I
Do
mean
you,
those two. I mean, Xavier did go to them for the Nadia plan, being like, "I can use these
yeah.
bottom people to get rid of somebody I don't trust."
And I think so. My point in that is that I think that those two see value in each other and therefore will not be going for each other for like at least another one or two rounds. Like that's also part of what I think is really key in Survivor is showing that you have value to even people on the other side of your alliance because who knows what happens down the road. I think it's why, we see Devin and Dylan go so far together in
Oh,
Survivor
those two.
Michigan 3 because they show each other that they have value and that like if you protect me, I will protect you. We will make it further. And I think that Xavier and Vivian are kind of doing the same thing to each other. Whereas I think that Ethan was trying to have a relationship like that with Abby and Vivian, but he wouldn't protect them in a way that made them feel okay. He would say like, "I'm going to do what I'm going to do, but it's not going to be you, so don't worry about it." Whereas
Yeah,
like
he
it's not so beneficial.
yeah, he definitely thought like, "I'm not writing down your name. It's not like I'm doing
There
that.
go.
Yeah, there
Yeah.
go. I'm still working with you and protecting you." And then Abby pretty much was. I like how the call Ethan that Abby had. Abby was just like giving him the stink eye, and Ethan was just like, "Why are you doing that? Because you keep voting off all my allies. You keep voting off the people that will vote with me." I just like how in the beginning we just had Abby and Vivian just shit on Ethan for like 10 minutes straight.
So, Lee, any closing thoughts on this episode? And, like, I guess really, who do you think is going to win Scotty Survivor at this point? Like, who is in the primo spot to win this game?
Um, I said that Haley is now my winner pick from the merge onwards. Pre-merge it was Vivian. Now it's kind of Haley. I can definitely see her winning. I can see Valen winning because I saw in the comments and in the Discord a lot of people are saying this is like Valen's getting a winner edit. And thinking of the jury, depending who she's up against in the final 3, I can see people voting her to win. Ethan's 100% voting for Valen to win. I can see Ricky voting for Valen if Haley's not in the end. I can see Runjan voting for Valen if Haley's not in the end. I
Mhm.
can see Nadia voting for Valen depending on who's in the end. And I can see, I'm pretty sure I did a chart somewhere. I can see if Haley's on the jury, I can see her maybe voting for Valen if Haley's not at the end. So I think so. I Haley is my winner pick. I'm still like Vivian in the back of my head, and judging by the comments, I can also see a world where Valen wins.
Yeah, and I think that like there's probably an instance where like somebody like maybe Nikhil or even Henry gets to the end. I feel like in like they're the zero vote finalists. No offense,
Yeah,
Henry.
because there has
Um,
to be one every season.
it has to be one. But I do think that you're spot on it. And now, who would I like to see win most? I kind of would love to see an Abby or Vivian win. Haley,
Oh,
Valen, iconic. Like honestly,
any of
if
the girls.
yeah, if Scotty Survivor continues with like women winners, like iconic
Yeah,
stays iconic, never needs to change a single thing about them. But it would be really cool. I feel like the problem is, I thought for some reason it was Final Eight, like last episode, like the episode we're talking about,
I
but
thought
no,
that as well.
coming up, this episode that will air is Final Eight, and I feel like that is a moment where like you got to find your four or you're fucked. is how I would describe it. Like, you need to make sure that you are in a solid alliance of 4 with one person to cut to make it to final like 7, 6, 5. And that's, to me, why I think it's really important to like solidify something. And yeah, Jacob, Abby, underdog winner, period. Valen and Haley are my 1 and 2. I think you're right here. Like, Abby could win if she gets to the end. Will they let her get to the end? I doubt it.
If Abby does make it to the end, it really depends on people's mindsets with the whole puppet master situation. Because if we think about it, really, what did the puppet master accomplish? Pretty much nothing other than giving Nadia an idol, but it has such a title to it that, I mean, if the Zaman people are still bitter, being like, I can't believe the puppet master like manipulated me, so I'm not going to vote for her. It depends on how that is. What was the question?
I don't know. I think we're just talking about who we want to win and how much we like all of these people playing this game.
Yeah.
So we're just vibing.
Oh yeah, I was going to be like, if we compare the final 8 coming up to last season's final 8, where it was the 4-4 tie, and
oh yes,
yeah, the Corey vote. Yeah. Okay, yeah, Ael's boot was the puppet master. But Ael's not on the jury.
and I don't think AL would vote for the puppet master.
No, he wouldn't. See, if you look at like last season's final 8, where it was like it was the 4 groups of 4, and then it became the 4-3, and the 3 pretty much made it to the finals. Well, except they were just planning on cutting Leo at the end, which obviously.
Yeah.
So, but I think the way this round is, but it being the dating round, it's going to be difficult to create your 4. So it's probably, that's why I keep saying final 8 tends to be an easy vote round. Like, you're just going to vote off an easy person. So that's why that's why I think Nadia will be going. I can see Abby leaving, potentially Vivian, but I feel like Abby's more of a target than Vivian now. So I can just see one of those 3 leaving.
Yeah. Or I think this could be a good point in time to take out Xavier. I think if you're smart and you realize that Xavier could win a lot of challenges going forward, and you might as well cut him loose now. But yeah, if you're anybody else besides like Abby or Vivian, you got to look at them and say, what the fuck, you're doing really good.
Yeah. Also, fun fact: we're 3 tribals into the merge, and everybody has gotten a vote. Well, everybody except everyone except Henry and Valen have gotten a vote in the merge, but out of the entire cast, with this vote, everyone has gotten a vote.
Wow, I love that.
Well,
I love that.
Yeah, their name has been written down. It depends on how you count with cancel votes with Xavier and all that. But
I'll always say that somebody, if if you want to count a perfect game, sure. If you canceled some votes, sure. But like, for now, your name has been written down.
Yeah,
like,
every name has been written down.
Yeah,
whether it's been canceled or not.
So Lee, if we have nothing else to talk about, I just want to ask you to plug all of the amazing things that you're doing on the Live Reality Game Network lately. You're out and about.
Yeah, I'm around. Of course, I'm doing Scotty Survivor. I also do. I'm also currently recapping MTV's The Challenge All Stars 3. Did an episode last Friday. On Friday. That's when it usually happens. If you want to go see old ones I did, I recapped Syracuse Heroes versus Villains with All-Star player Madison and had a couple of special guests. Will I do season 5? Depends if I can get somebody for that. And I might be doing Michigan All-Stars if that comes out. We don't know.
It'll come out. I just think it'll come out forever from now. But yes, you'll join me for Michigan All-Stars along with some other great, amazing podcasters that that's way down the line.
Yeah, I have to be there for the Jackson interview.
6 and 6, baby. And as for me, I just want to plug, I've been doing a lot on other networks. You will be able to hear me on a very special episode of The Pride is Spoken on RHAP coming soon, which I'm super psyched about.
You.
And additionally, I just want to plug my good buddy and Survivor Maryland co-host, Steven, is talking all about surviving Reelfoot. that man puts in the hours watching the feeds of like this like 7-day game. He does so good, and he's such a, he should do ASMR. Really, he's got a great speaking voice. But you should go tune in to his deep dives of the players because he does such a great job. And this is so fun. Remember to subscribe to Scotty Survivor. They have a Twitter account, they have an Instagram account. Go support them. Stay tuned for more amazing College Survivor. This season is sure to be a blast. Lee, thank you for being here. Thank you, everyone,
Thank
for watching.